Hi. How are you? Good morning, good evening, depending on where you're watching me from. I want to check on how people are doing. If it's your first time in this channel, welcome. You can also consider subscribing to the channel. And also let's like the live so that we can begin our today's live. I can see Lisa saying hi. Hi. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Wow. The next name, I can't even read it. Bad somebody. Bad boys. Woza, woza. Mama, how do we reply to woza? We say woza or what? Governor, sasa, go, gove. How is that name read? I'm sorry for butchering your name. Saying sasa, sasa, how are you? How is everyone? I hope you all are doing well. Welcome to today's live. Kodondo, Eliza, how is you? I'm good. How are you? Welcome to this channel. If it's your first time here, as you join the live, karibuni sana. You can consider subscribing to this channel. Road to 1,000 subscribers. Welcome. I want to know how people are doing. I can see those that have told me hi. How are you? Are you fine? For me, I'm good. Joshua, hi. How are you? How are you, Joshua? How are you, Elijah? The rest your names are very hard to pronounce. How is everyone? I hope you all are doing fine. I want us to begin our today's live. But before I do that, I want to know how is my audience doing? Is everyone okay? Is everyone great? Am I audible? Am I audible? Also, if it's your first time here, welcome. You can consider subscribing to this channel. Let me know if I'm audible. Let me know if I'm audible so that we can begin. Mark, hi, I'm Mark from South Africa. You look cute. Hey, thank you. How are you, Mark? How are you doing? Thank you, thank you. Thank you for the compliments. How are you? I hope you're fine. Thank you for joining today's live. Let me know how you people are doing. In the next 2 minutes, I want us to begin our live on how to be a smart farmer. How to be a smart farmer. Those that are still joining, welcome to today's live. Joshua says, I'm fine. How are you, beautiful girl? Wishing you a wonderful Monday. Thank you. Have a wonderful Monday too. Mark, I can say you saying I'm good. You want to get my number, okay? So thank you for those that have joined. I hope you all are doing well. I think I'm audible. Since I can see people commenting, I believe I'm audible. So I want us to do something constructive about farming. Those that are still joining, welcome. We want to start our today's live. If it's your first time in this YouTube channel, please you can consider subscribing to this channel as we look at how to be a smart farmer. How many of you would like to join farming, or how many of you are already doing farming? And what are the tips that you require to take into consideration for you to become a smart farmer? Remember, nowadays technology is really changing and things are becoming better for farmers each and every day. Therefore, for those that have joined today's live, welcome. I believe at the end of the day, it will be impactful to you. You'll also be able to learn one or two things. You do not also have to be a farmer for you to be in this live. You can listen to the developments that are happening in the farming sector, and also you can decide to come up with new improvements that you can make to this farming sector. Therefore, as you continue joining, always be positive about this life. I know at the end of the day, you will have learned one or two things. If you're here for entertainment purposes, also welcome. Listen to what farmers are going through and listen to what we are running to catch up with as things are changing day in, day out. Therefore, I'll start by saying, what is this smart farming that we are speaking about, or what do I require to be this smart farmer? We start with the definition of smart farming. Smart farming is whereby developed methods and tools are being used in order to improve efficiency, productivity, sustainability in the farming sector. There are many tools that have been developed, automated tools that have been developed that are really impactful to this farming sector, that are making the farming sector a very good field for you to venture in each and every day. Gone are the days when farmers will be dirty people that have to go to the farm each and every morning, spend their entire day in the farm, come out of the farm very exhausted and very tired. One thing I'm enjoying about farming is that technology is making things great for us as farmers. It's making every work for us very easy. It doesn't mean you have to entirely purchase these machines. I know they might be expensive, but imagine yourself hiring these machines. It will be at a cheaper cost for you, and you will also be able to increase your productivity without while you minimize the cost of that production. So what I'll tell everyone, if you're in this current generation, please look forward to being a farmer who is always learning and who is has the intention of knowing what is happening in this farming sector and the day in day out developments that are taking place. I want to begin by looking at how you develop a strong business plan. That is where you will start as a farmer. If you're deciding to do any type of farming in any type of farm, please you have to come up with a business plan or a farming plan that you will put into place for you to have that effective production and for you to maintain the levels that you require or for you to gain the harvest that you need. First of all, outline your farm goals, resources, and operation to create a roadmap for future activities, whereby you outline your farm goals, what you want to achieve within a certain period of time or within a certain duration of time. What are your expectations or what are the goals that you're looking forward to achieve? First of all, you need to be that farmer who has a set goal, who has an aspiration that at the end of these 6 months, this is what I want to achieve. Or if this is what you're planning to grow. If it is maturing after 1 year, you have that 1 year goal that you're forecasting to achieve and that you're looking forward to achieve in order for you to get the profits and the many other things that you require. Resource and operations. Where are you going to get your resources from? Be have that plan of I'm going to get my resources from this and this place, or I'm going to get either finances, the machines, the equipment that you will need to use in your farm. After you have set that goal, this is what I will achieve at the end of this and this period of time. You also need to put into consideration, or you also need to look at what are the resources that I will require for me to achieve this goal that I have set. Therefore, you see, as a farmer, at the end of the day, you have to think about where how to acquire the resources and also the operations that will be running in your farm. Is it a which type of operations? Do you require laborers in your farm, or do you require to use the machines? Apart from machines, they have also developed some robots that are really working effectively in the farm. Therefore, you need to choose, what do I need? By being a smart farmer, it means you adapt more into technology that is making work easier each and every day. Still on how to have a strong business plan, you also need to consider market demands. Please ensure that before you decide to plant a certain crop, you have to come up with a plan. That plan should give you a focus on what is expected, what will be the market demands by the time I'll be harvesting my crop from the farm. And you'll come to discover, once you'll be doing this forecasting on the market demand, you will also get to a point where you study how many farmers have grown this type of a crop that I am planning to grow during the same period or during the same season as I am. Look at how many are they. If there are very many, it means you will all be selling your produce at the same time to the market. Therefore, it means there will be a lot of supply, and when the supply is a lot, the prices tend to lower. The price that you would have sold the price that you would have sold your maybe a kg of onion, when there is a lot of supply, if you would have sold it at 100 shillings when the supply was low, if the supply is a lot, if the supply tends to rise, it means the cost of selling will also reduce because the supply in the market is very high. Therefore, that is why I was saying, for you to be a smart farmer, you need to check on the market demands. When I'll be harvesting this type of a crop, what will be the market demand? If you realize many farmers have grown that type of a crop during the same period as you are doing, you are planning to plant, please then change your mind and try another crop that will be scarce in the market, or you can also consider looking for another market where you will sell your produce. This is because when you realize that many farmers will be supplying their produce to the market at the same time as you, then it means the price levels will be lower and you'll not make the maximum profit that you expect as a farmer. Therefore, you can look for a different geographical market on where you will sell your produce. Number two, you can also decide to change and try to plant another crop that many farmers have not grown in their farm during that season for you to enjoy that high demand in the market. Okay, you also need to do financial planning. Plan financially on where you will get your resources from, where you will get your finances from, and at what cost will you incur for these resources that you're planning use to use in your farm during the season that you will have planted any type of a crop. Therefore, when this is a very important aspect when you're looking at the financial plan. The financial plan will definitely help you come up with a budget. The budget will help you plan on what are the expenses that I will incur during this season that I will plant this and this type of a crop, and what are the income, where will I get these resources from, and this will also help you come up with an idea or come up with a plan on the amount of the cost or the amount that you will be selling your produce to the market in order for you to attain that maximum profit. Also, you need to look at risk management strategies. By the time you're deciding to plant a certain type of a crop in your farm, it means there are various many risks that will come with that crop that you have decided to plant in your farm. Risk number one are the pests. Risk number two are the diseases. Risk number two are the changes in the weather or the changes in the climate. There are many risks that will come with each and every type of a crop that you decide to plant in your farm. Then before even you can decide on this is the type of a crop that I want to plant in my farm, you definitely need to look at what have that a focus, have a focus. What is the type of risks that come with this crop? Once I plant this type of a crop, which risk will I face? That will help you be ready or be prepared to take the corrective actions immediately once you before you even decide to grow that crop. That will help you to manage the crop when it will be growing. Now imagine you didn't do a risk management plan and you plant this type of a crop and you didn't even do research as a farmer to know which types of pests or which type of diseases are likely to affect that type of a crop. You now begin farming, and after you have planted that crop after it has grown, you are expecting a certain type of profit at the end of the day. Once you grow that crop, you realize that the pest have that a certain pest has affected that crop. Before you do a research to know which type of a pest is that, and before even you know which type of corrective measures you will be taking, before you start to look for the finances to put in that sector for you to control the pest will have affected your crop so much to a point that the level of productivity of that crop will definitely decline. Therefore, this means at the end of the day, you will not get the profit that you had expected to get as a farmer. And that is because you did not do the risk management plan. Risk management plan will help you forecast and know this is the type of a pest that might affect this and this type of a crop. You do risk management plan before you even plant that crop in your farm, so that it will help you have a broader mind perspective of knowing or be prepared mentally, know various types of diseases that might affect the crop, know the various type of pests that also might affect that type of a crop that you have grown in your farm. And you will be ready because you will also know which are the control measures that you will take as a farmer once in case those pests or the diseases come to affect your farm. It will also help you prepare when forecasting, for example, for a weather. You have planted a crop in your farm that will require a lot of water and your dependence on the rains. And once if you're depending on the rains for the irrigation of the crop in your farm, what if that rain does not rain to the forecast amount? What if it doesn't rain to your expectation as a farmer? You realize after you planted this crop, then the rain level reduced. And after the rains have reduced, what do you do? Or at all, there is no even rain. Since this weather and the climate is changing day in and day out, when you're looking at the risk management is when you will also look at which other control backups can I have in case it doesn't rain. Do you have a control backup? Do you have a water supply that you will use to irrigate your farm in order for you to maintain that produce or in order to keep your plants growing despite the fact that there is no rain? So those are the things that you will be looking at when you will be looking at the risk management phase. You look at the expected challenges that you might face when you decide to plant any type of a crop, and you should do a research in mind, knowing that each and every crop has a different type of risks. Therefore, if you're planning to plant more than one crop in your farm, or if you're planning to plant different plants in your farm, please do not do a general risk management plan. No. each crop has its own different risks. Therefore, you will manage or you will plan for those risks individually, depending on each and every plant. Do not do a general risk management plan. The same thing to the financial planning. When you're doing the financial planning, this is where you come up with the budget. Ensure each and every crop is budgeted at a different place or at a different category. Budget individually. For each and every crop, you budget for it separately. Same to considering the market demands, you will forecast the demand of each and every crop one at a time. That is if you're deciding to grow different types of crop in your farm at the same time. So to the next point, when you need to be a smart farmer, you also need to embrace data collection and analysis. Data collection and analysis. Data collection is whereby you collect the data that you need. You analyze the data that you have gotten from the field in order to know how to plan or what to take into action when you will be planting that crop. Remember, you do data analysis and you also do the data collection before you can even plant that crop in your farm. Once you do that data analysis, it's what will give you a guidance on what to expect and on what to view. So under data analysis, what can you use? You can use sensors, drones, or other technologies to gather information on soil conditions, weather, and crop health. When you are looking at the data collection and analysis, what will you be data collecting about or what will you be data analyzing about? The first thing that you will be data collecting about is the soil conditions. What do you look at when you're looking at the soil conditions? You will be looking at your soil fertility. What is the fertility level of your soil? Number two, we will be looking at what is the soil pH of your soil. Number three, what is the level of drainage of your soil? Because different crops require different level of drainage, different type of soil pH, and different type of soil fertility. Therefore, you need to do a data collection and data analysis of the current situation about your soil in order to know if you're planting a certain crop, which are the corrective measures that you need to put in your soil if your soil health is facing some challenges. And you also need to look at what do you need to do in order to improve the soil to get to the level that you want it to be. You also need to look at the data collection and analysis. You look at the weather. Focus on the weather. Know the expected weather conditions before you grow any type of a crop. Look and consider or do a research to know what are the levels that or what are the weather conditions that are required for me to grow this type of a crop in my farm. And you also need to check on the crop health. Know what are the various health that the crop will be requiring and also be take the necessary appropriate measures on the crop health. The next thing that you need to do data collection and data analysis in is analyze the data to make informed decision about planting, watering, fertilizing, and pest control. The first thing we have looked at, you will be data collecting or you will be data analyzing on the soil conditions, on the weather, and the crop health. Those are the things that you will first of all do a data collection. And after you do the data collection on those fields, you will also need to analyze this data so that you will know what are the so that you'll use that information to know which are the corrective measures that you need to take or what are the decisions that you will put into place when it comes to planting. You will also know after you analyze your data what are the watering mechanisms that you need to put into place. This is because imagine if you've done a data collection on the weather forecast and you realize the level of rains will be reduced or will reduce in the season that you are planning to plant a certain crop, then it means you need to develop watering mechanisms that you will use when the rainwater will reduce. Okay, now that is after you have done that data analysis is when you will get to see what you need to take place when you will be watering. Fertilizing. I told you when you will be checking on the soil conditions, they will give you a range of the fertility of your soil. And you will also be able to know as a person what are the type of fertilizers I will need to put in my farm when growing this type of a crop, depending on the data that you have analyzed, looking at the type, the soil conditions or the fertility level in your soil. After you also do the data analysis, it will help you look at the pest control. This is because when you will be doing the data collection, you will also data collect to check on the levels of the other farmers that have grown this crop. What are the percentage levels of those that faced this type and this type of a pest? How did they control it? Okay. Now that is if you realize that, for example, the farmers that grew maize, most of them were affected by this and this type of pest. You look at the percentage level. If you realize 80% of farmers that plant maize are likely to face this type of a pest, it means that you as a farmer, you will also face the probability of your farm getting affected by that pest will also be high. Therefore, you need to prepare adequately for that. After that is where you implement farm management software to track data and streamline operations. These are farm softwares that study on the progress of your farm. They study when the fertility in your soil has reduced. They study on when the water level of your soil has also reduced. They alert you and they give you a feedback, and you as a farmer will take that feedback that you're getting from these softwares that are running in your farm, and you will take the necessary action. They also detect when your crops have been affected by a type of a pest. Therefore, you will be alerted the moment that pest is in that farm. Do you know some pests affect your crops and you realize after the damage is too much? Therefore, as a farmer, please consider looking or consider adapting to the various types of technologies that are there. There are gadgets that are being installed in our farms. They track and detect the moment that one pest affects your crop, it sends you an alert. Most of these devices are connected to our phones as the farmers, and now you can look at the progress of your farm. You can also, they also have some camera camera angles that keeps on rotating to your farm, and they will help you keep a trace of what is currently happening in your farm. So that is the point number 2 on how to become a smart farmer. Is there any question? I want to look at point number 3. Okay, as you take the questions, we can continue and look at the point number 3. Point number 3 is when you optimize resource management. By optimizing resource management is whereby smart farming helps reduce waste of resources like water and fertilizer by applying them precisely where needed. Remember, I've told you there are softwares that are currently running in our farms. They get installed to your farm and they give you the happenings that are happening currently in the farm, or they give you an update of what is required for you or what has happened in your farm, and for you, you will take the necessary corrective actions. Therefore, these softwares that are attached to the gadgets in the farm, they also help you to reduce waste and also resources. One of these wastes or one of these resources that you will reduce the wastage is things like fertilizer. Remember, by the time you are putting excess fertilizer that will end up being waste or that will not be used by your crops, it means that at that point you have incurred a cost that you are not supposed to incur. And it means that your expense tends to rise in a way that was not expected to happen to you as a farmer. Therefore, by doing smart farming, you will be able to take a trace or to take a track whereby you will be able to watch and know when you reduce the water, when to reduce the water, the level of irrigation that you're doing, the various types of irrigation schemes that you can use. And nowadays, they even automated irrigation schemes whereby by a press of a button, the water in the tank spray is sprayed to your crops in your farm. So things have really been automated. One thing that I will advise each and every farmer is to adapt to these new technologies that are being developed, because each and every day these technologies are doing so well and they're making the farmers work easier. Therefore, when you optimize resource management, you'll be able to take control of two things. You'll know when to water and you'll also know when to apply fertilizers to avoid wastage. Consider implementing water efficient irrigation scheme and using precision farming techniques to minimize water usage. I've told you there are various types of watering mechanism or irrigation schemes that have been developed. And by these different irrigation schemes, you as a farmer, you will be able to irrigate your farm effectively and each and everything will work well. You employ integrated pest management strategies to reduce the reliance of chemical pesticides. Nowadays, you do not even require to entirely use the pesticides to take control of the pests or the pest in your farm. There are other ways of taking care of the pests that might affect your farm. People have developed this type of containers and they put inside their kind of pellets. Those pellets attract the type of the pests that are likely to affect your crop. Therefore, you will find they will attract those pests to get inside the containers, and the pests will, once they get to your farm, they will get inside those containers and they will not affect or they will not start feeding on your crop. Therefore, you do not have to have this mentality that each and every time my farm has some pest, it means I have to use chemicals. No, there are other aspects of there are other variants of controlling this pest without having to use the chemicals. Those that are still joining, welcome to today's live. You can consider subscribing as we will look at smart farming. To the next broad topic or to the next broad point that you need also to take note of is utilize automation on robots. As I've told you, there are different or there are many technologies that have been developed in the farm. And for you to be a smart farmer, it means you have to adapt to these smart techniques that have been developed or these smart ideas that people have come up with, these smart machines that people have developed, and they are doing really effective work in the farm. Do you know robots are now starting to be used in large numbers? Many people have adapted to doing robotic farming, and a robot will work just like a normal human being. Remember, robots are trained; they are entirely trained to work as a human being. They are given a intellect mind. The only thing that a robot doesn't do is just that it doesn't breathe. But for a robot, these robots are given some codes that train them to work effectively or to work just like any other human beings, depending on how us as the human beings are thinking or how we work. Therefore, by that it means that we have to be we as the farmers have to adapt to these robotics and the many other technologies that have been developed when it comes to the farming sector. When you utilize automation and robotics, it means automated perspective tasks like planting, harvesting, and irrigation to improve efficiency and reduce cost. Those tasks will be done by these machines or by these robots. I know most of the robotic development has not reached so many countries, but before they can even reach to the various countries for the farmers to use them, there are machines that have been developed. I now believe that if most of you as the farmers, you've seen the different machines in the farming sector that are used for planting. You do not require laborers to come to your farm and entirely plant in your farm. You can use these machines for planting. Number two, you can use these machines for harvesting. There are also machines that are doing the weeds control. Therefore, it means that this agricultural sector or this farming sector has been improved so much to such a point that everything is now tending to go to the machines or to the technology perspective. Therefore, if you're that farmer that does not want to adapt to change, it means you'll be left behind. And it means you will be using a lot of cost in your production. And definitely, once you use a lot of cost in production, it means that you have to sell at a higher price for you to get that profit back. Do you know you might set a price? For example, you're deciding to sell your produce at 300 shillings, and you realize that you, as a farmer who has used the manual process of farming, if you've not adapted to technology, you will realize maybe the profit that you're making is 100 shillings. And a person that you decided to use the machines, they reduced the cost of production by using the machines, and now you will realize that that farmer is making about 200 profits for his profit. Therefore, you can see your margin. There will definitely be both large margins when it comes to looking at the different types of farmers between a farmer that will choose to adapt to the between a farmer that will choose to adapt to the automated farming and the farmer that will choose to continue with the traditional way of farming. Also, let's have that broad perspective or that broad idea of adapting to any technologies that will be developed and we use them for our benefits. By that, you also consider using robots for tasks like weeding and spraying to further enhance efficiency. Nowadays, even drones are being used to spray our farms. Therefore, farming has really become the easiest task for us all. Imagine when you used to carry these spraying jerry cans on our back to go and spray our farm. Nowadays, things have changed. There are drones that are spraying very effectively on the crops, and there are also these other type of machines that are used to spray the farms. There are those other machines that are being used for weeding, like for example the robots. I've seen a robot that was developed and it's really weeding well. I believe by the time the other countries get to that point technologically, farming will be one of the easiest. It will be a slap. Then you will be planting and harvesting without even incurring a lot of effort or a lot of cost. But for now, try to adapt the technologies that are working effectively in each and every person's country. Be a farmer that has an open mind and do not be rigid to technology because technology is here to make things easier for us as the farmers. And I know at the end of the day, technology will reduce cost. As it is reducing cost, it means you as a farmer will also increase your level of productivity. As you increase the level of your productivity, you also tend to increase the level of profits. Therefore, that will help you become a smart farmer who knows what is their expectation or who knows what they need to put into consideration as they do their farming. As we continue to join the live, welcome to this channel. You can consider subscribing. Also, if you have a question, you can be typing in the comment section. I'll be glad to answer you and we can have an interactive session. So the next part you need to look at when you're looking at being a smart farmer is where you look at the on how to improve crop yield and quality. You all know the more the quality of your crop, the higher the selling price. The lesser the quality of your crop, the lower the selling price. You also know the yield determines the quantity that you produce will definitely add to the profits that you get at the end of the day. Therefore, by the time you're deciding to become a smart farmer, it means that when you become a smart farmer, you will be able to improve your crop yield and also you will increase the quality. By By analyzing data and optimizing farming practices, you can improve crop yields and produce high quality products. That is why I told you before even you decide to venture into farming or before you decide on the type of a crop that you want to grow in your farm, we said that is the first thing that we looked at when we started this live. You need to analyze, you need to do data collection and data analysis for you to know how will you, or for you to know what are the corrective measures that you need to take in your farm in order to increase the productivity level. What do you need to do? Therefore, once you start to analyze data, it will help you optimize the farming practices and you can improve your crop yield and produce high quality products. There is nothing that is good for a farmer like increasing the productivity levels in your farm. It means once you increase the quality, at the end of the day, it means for very many people, you will have a lot of demand. People will be demanding for your produce because of the quality. Number two, it means your yield production will also be high. When your yield production is high, it means that you are also making more and more profits. Because there is no way a person that produces 100 kgs will have the same profits as the person that produces 500 kgs. No, there will be a difference in the amount of finances that they bag to their bank accounts at the end of the day. Precision farming techniques such as a variable rate application of inputs can help maximize yields and minimize waste. Yeah, how are you applying your inputs in your farm if it is the fertilizer? Do you apply when it is required? Ama, do you wait until now? Imagine you are top dressing your maize and you want to use the top dressing fertilizer once the maize are past that level of being top dressed. Therefore, you need to really know when do I need to put these inputs in my farm? When do I need to fertilize? When do I need to irrigate? And by that, by you being a smart farmer, those will be easy things for you because you will look at the analysis of the data and know I am supposed to fertilize maybe 4 weeks after planting or maybe 2 months after planting, and to what rates should I be putting my fertilizer? Maybe you need to fertilize monthly. This is what I mean by the time you are looking forward to doing this data analysis. It will help you use those inputs in your farm effectively and without any losses or without any misuse. Also, you can consider using climatic smart agriculture practices to adapt changing weather patterns and improve resilience. Do you know by the time you're deciding to grow a certain crop, you have looked at the conditions, at the climatic conditions for you to know as a farmer, will this crop work effectively in my farm? Or will the climatic conditions favor the type of a crop that I am deciding to grow? By the time you look at if these climates will favor the type of crop that is growing in your farm, it means you did a forecast and you analyzed. Now imagine if you do not use this climatic smart agriculture, it means you will miss out on the various weather predictions. And these climates are changing day in, day out. Once you adopt these smart technologies, they will help you as a farmer to take the corrective or know the exact expected type of climate that is likely to you are likely to face in the future. And when there will be changes, in case it happens that there are climatic changes, they will not be that drastic because you will have at least forecast on their levels, or you have that future expectation of the type of a climate that you are likely to face. Therefore, even if they change, these technologies are doing a very nice forecast. You're getting what you had expected or what you had estimated to get is the same climate that you are experiencing. Therefore, even if there are changes, there will be many more changes, and there will be changes that you can manage as a person. And imagine if you had not done that forecast on your weather, it means those changes will be drastic to you because you did not put any effort to try to discover or to try to look at what are the expectation on the changes of the weather. Before I can look at the next point, if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing and welcome. Also, if you have a question, you can be typing in the comment section. I will answer as we proceed. Looking forward to being a smart farmer, what do you need to always look at? For you to be a smart farmer, you have to always stay informed and updated. You have to stay informed and updated. Things are changing day in and day out, and technologies are also changing day in and day out. The agriculture the agriculture sector is also experiencing gradual changes each and every day. Therefore, you have to stay informed and adapt to these changes that are taking place in this agricultural sector. For example, continuously learn about new technology and best practices in smart farming. Look at what is this smart farming that other farmers are adapting. Also, be an open-minded farmer so that you can adapt to those smart farming technologies. I know at the end of the day, they will help you in the production level and they will also help you to get that effectiveness that you need in your farm. Attend the workshop. But when you attend the workshop, it means you will get a chance to learn on what is happening in the field, in the farming sector, or what is happening in the farming field. And the people, you will go and find some experts in those farming workshops. That those experts will give you a guide on the way you are supposed to conduct yourself as a farmer, or on the expectations that you will have to maybe get, or what you are expecting at the end of the day. You can also those experts will also help you answer the questions that you might be having and that you didn't know or you require an answer to. Those experts will guide you effectively. Also, you need to join farmer groups. Farmer groups are very good because you will get a chance to feel or have a taste of what other farmers are experiencing in their farm and what are the control measures that they are taking in their farm. Also, they will tell you where are they getting the resources that they put in their farm and at what cost. They will tell you the cheapest way of getting those resources. They will also give you ideas on the effective insurance companies that you can join, that they will those that will have tried. I know we don't always know everything, and there is a farmer that has some great information that we can use to our benefits at the end of the day. Apart from that, you also need to network with other smart farmers and share knowledge and operations. They'll tell you, they'll also give you a guidance or they will give you an idea of how these farming machines or these farming technologies that have been developed, how they are working, and what are the challenges, what are the advantages. And after you learn from someone else, it means you'll not be doing a try and error in your farm. It is something that you will have had a previous knowledge before you try or before you can even consider using that type of a technology in your farm. Therefore, when you join this group, when you have that connection with other farmers, they will help you know on the necessary actions that you need to take in your farm or on the corrective measures that you need to also take to your farm. You adapt your farming practices to address the challenges and the climatic changes and market fluctuations. When you are a smart farmer, the probability of you facing these challenges is minimal. This is because you will have forecast to see what is the likelihood or what are the chances that I will experience this and this type of a condition in my farm, or what are the market's expectation, what is the future expectation of the market. Even if there are market fluctuations, it means you will have seen that there will be a market fluctuation when you will be doing your data collection and your data analysis as a farmer, and you will be prepared for that fluctuation. Do you know if it is a high fluctuation, it means if it is a high market fluctuation, it means that the selling price of your produce produce from the farm will be lower because the supply is a lot in the market. If there will be a low fluctuations, it means the demand in the market will be quite high. And if you're the only one supplying that produce at that time, it means the level of profits that you will get will be really high. Therefore, this is what I mean by you always stay informed and adapt to the changing market fluctuations and the climatic changes. When you do not adapt to the climatic change, it means you will still have that mentality of even if this crop will not do well in this type of a climate, let me try it. And once you try it, it means at the end of the day, the probability of you incurring that loss is very high because there is no way you will grow a crop in a condition that is not favorable for them. Therefore, let us be open minded. Let us start to study on the various climatic conditions, on the various changes that are happening, on the market fluctuations, on the various technologies that are being developed, various machines that are working effectively in our farms, and let us adapt. As we learn, we also adapt. There are very many other type of crops. I'm very sure that even personally as a farmer, I didn't know those crops exist, but the market demand is very high. There is a certain place that requires that crop, and the conditions in my farm can favor the production of that crop effectively. It means if there is that high demand, if I get to know that there is this type of a crop, I'll grow this type of a crop in my farm, and at the end of the day, I will get the profit. I will sell to that high demand in the market, and I will get unimaginable profits. I know we all love money. Some of us are doing farming out of passion, but the money, let no one lie to you, the money is the motivator of farming. The profits that you get at the end of the day is what motivates you as a farmer. I can see someone is saying sound not audible. Really? Thank you for that update. As I was saying, let me try and just let me know please when the sound is okay. Thank you. Also, welcome to today's live column. You will also, that is what I was saying, when you address the challenges in the climatic and the market fluctuations, they will help you take the necessary corrective actions as a farmer. So the last point that I want to look at about being a smart farmer is consider modern farming methods. When you consider modern farming methods, it means they will make you work very easy as a farmer. This is because you will explore new methods, you will know which other type of way that I can use to grow this type of a crop for me to have that high production and for me to attain the profitability that I am expecting at the end of the day. Therefore, let us adapt to these modern methods of farming. Also, let us adapt to these farming techniques that have been developed. Also, these methods can help you optimize resource use. It will help you reduce environmental impact. The environmental impact, like for the example, the use of chemicals. I've told you or I've given you an idea that these are chemicals that you are using. You do not necessarily need to use the chemicals to control the pest. There are these containers that they are selling. Depending on the type of a crop and depending on the type of a pest that you are likely to experience in your farm, they are putting in some pellets and you're supposed to go and hang those containers in your farm. Once those pests come to affect your farm, instead of the pest maybe affecting the crop that you have planted, those pellets in those containers tend to attract those pests more. And once they get into those containers, there is no way out. You see, you have not used any chemicals, you have taken care of that. And also, this manual ways of controlling the pest, I think them a little bit cheaper compared to the chemicals that we use. Also, they help us to maintain that environment, the good environment conditions for those even living around us and for us that we are in the farm. As we all know, chemicals have their own effects to both our bodies and even to the environment. Therefore, if you can consider using other types of control mechanisms like the pest container, it means at the end of the day you will be able to regulate the amount of pests that are affecting your farm without necessarily requiring to use the pesticides. So consider modern farming methods. Also, there are various machines that are being used for the planting, for the harvesting, for the weeding. You can consider adopting those technologies and maybe regulate on the the use of laborers, because people are people. At the end of the day, we all get tired, and there is no day that a machine and a person will work at the same rate. It means the machines will be faster, fast, they do not get exhausted, and they will work effectively or in a faster way compared to human beings. Also, their reliance, if the machine will be in the farm, it will definitely be in the farm. By the time a farmer, you can get someone that um, to do the labourer work today, and tomorrow they are not available. And when they are not available, it means you increase the number of days that they will be working in your farm. Also, take note, those are more costs that you will have incurred as a farmer at the end of the day. So let us all be smart farmers. Let us learn on how to do this smart farming, because once you adapt to this smart farming, I've seen smart farming helping so many people. Personally, have tried the use of the machines. I'm looking forward to the time that maybe those robots will get to my country. I know many people will adapt to do those robotics, but currently for the machines that are working in the farm, they are working effectively. And I love that about being a farmer. So if you're doing large scale farming, please, if you find that machines are cheaper, of course, definitely. If you're doing large scale farming, machines will tend to be cheaper compared to the number of to employment of laborers. So adapt to the machines. If you're doing the small scale farming, it means that most probably if the manpower is at a lower cost for you, you need to employ that labor method. And this you will be able to know at the cost effectiveness when you will be doing the forecasting and the data collection. That is when you'll know which between the machines and between the people, which is cheaper for me. You need to come up with all those ideas before you plant any type of a crop in your farm. So that is what I've said. We all need to be smart farmers, and we all need to take care of our farms. And I wish you all the best if you're deciding to be a farmer, or if you're looking forward to the farming sector. You're welcome. Farming sector is really great. Personally, I'm enjoying it, and I'll not complain. Really, looking at the disadvantages, of course, there is nothing that doesn't have a disadvantage. As long as there is an advantage, there is definitely a disadvantage. But looking and comparing the both between the advantages and the disadvantages, I will never even regret joining a farming, because the advantages tend to be many compared to the disadvantages. Those that are joining, welcome to today's live. If you're new to this channel, you can consider subscribing, and also you will learn one or two things. So I got something from my farm, and I want now to prepare some nice, nice lunch for myself. That is the joy of every farmer. Imagine if I go outside there and bought whatever I took from the farm at a very high cost. You see, it's helping me save some finances. Therefore, let's go to the next sector. I hope the first sector has been impactful to each and everyone that has been here. Thank you so much, and I love you, and looking forward to seeing you.